Call the committee of the whole meeting for April 26th to order at 12:30 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Masterman that the committee of the whole adopt the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting April 26th, 2021 as presented.
Yes, I happy to make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes. Where are we here? Carried. Ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that the committee of the whole adopt the minutes from March 8th, 2021, committee of the whole meeting as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor.
Questions, comments? See none. All in favor? Carried. Ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that the committee of the whole formally acknowledge that the meetings March 22nd and April 12th were cancelled in accordance with council's procedure bylaw.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. However, flood protection dike system operation. Jason or Eugene? But Jason was with us. All right, Jason.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the newest document we have. It is the Town of High River's flood protection for the dike system, the Operation, Maintenance, and Surveillance Manual. It's a document that's going to provide performance indicators and give us a real good idea as to what to check for on a yearly basis. Some of the measures we have to get our eyes on every inch of the terms and look for certain things. Important to mention, this will be tied into the current flood prep plan, and that states currently under that we go out every year and check the outfalls, make sure all the valves are open, make sure we have the should we be in a high water event. The difference with this is it takes it a step further and we actually go check for any signs of leakage, settlement around the structures, animal dens, burrows, be quite a significant problem. Shrubs and grass and trees they don't want to grow, so it's going to take it that step further. This plan will tie hand in hand. It'll happen in the spring pre-flood time, and when the guys are out there checking out the outfalls, we'll go deeper and do this whole flood checklist. And should we ever experience high water events, we will go up to a second inspection as the water recedes, just to ensure the water hasn't created that. This plan is intended to ensure the continuity of these berms for the lifetime. I believe that if we follow these measures and do a good job yearly, we can keep on top of any issues that might arise and keep High River safe. So that's a very brief overview of it.
I love it. This is really quite timely too, because I just brought up the question last week when I was walking on the dikes wondering what our actual plan was. So as soon as I mentioned it to Chris, he said it's coming to council on Monday. So that was that's efficiency, right?
Perfect.
Appreciate it. It's a great document. I got a couple of questions for you, Jason, but I'll let Councillor Kinghorn go first.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Question, Jason, I looked on the Operation Maintenance Surveillance. It talks about the storm outfall gates. Do we plan to run a test on the main gate on Center Street annually, or is that, because I didn't see it anywhere in here and I was looking for it. Maybe it's my font's too small or something.
Yes, they kept that separate because it's a whole different structure. It's not a dike, but yes, operations has a plan. We test that floodgates every spring. And we're probably going to do it in the fall too, just to ensure all the debris is out of that channel. We have learned that's the critical part. We have to keep that channel free of all debris.
Excellent, excellent. And is there a way we have a thing in place for the public who use these dikes, probably more than any of us, walking them and biking like the Mayor was doing, that they could somewhere on our, on our website, send a message in, hey, saw this somewhere or something like that, where we get a little bit of a place for the public to send their concerns.
I don't think we have that in place at the moment, Councillor Kinghorn, but after this meeting, we'll make that happen. I will work with comms and Eugene to.
I'm not telling you to make it happen. I just wondered if it would be good information to gather.
I agree. That's an awesome idea. I mean, you're right. The residents frequent these berms more than me, and that's where the eyes are for sure. That's a great idea.
Thanks, Jason.
Councillor Masterman?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. Jason, thanks very much for the report. And I should know the answer to this. The storm outflow structures, is that to release water that does get into the town or releases it back to the river?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there's, according to the report, there's many of those structures all along the system and correct?
Correct. Many, yes.
Yeah, okay. And yes, I was really interested to read in the report that they are checked as well, except maybe not in the winter months because of ice and snow and whatnot. But so it's nice to know that it's better than nice to know. It's very comforting to know that that those are maintained and tested so that if it ever does happen that we need them, that they'll be actually operating. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
So Jason, if we have seepage on these, which is probably likely if we get a high water event, just a hydrological pressure, etc. That's easy for us to manage with our existing stormwater management. And if we needed larger pumps or something to help that stormwater system handle it, I'm not concerned about that in the slightest, but with seepage. But if there was, like, we've got, 12 kilometers of these berms and dikes, right? So if there was even a small breach, is there a detailed plan as to how that gets dealt with further than if this happens, we will fix it? Like, do we have, contractors or, if you need those the big sandbags again or something to drop in a breach or something like that? I don't know. Is there a plan that kind of goes beyond, we'll deal with it if it comes?
So a plan like that, Mr. Mayor, would be on an emergency basis out of the EOC. For this purpose, if we saw something breaching, we would definitely get pack that. After that, we would definitely have to get the engineers involved to go out and take a hard look at it and see what would take in the way of earthwork. So in the event of a small breach during a high water event, yes, that would come out of the EOC, and we do have plans. It would be dumping some rock in, packing it down, sandbags, depending on the location and the severity.
Right. And I guess that's the whole thing, because a small breach will become a big one.
Absolutely. Water likes to find that weakest point, and from there it just exponentially takes it up.
Okay. As long as it's being talked about and thought about and everybody's on.
Absolutely. That's why the key from this, Mr. Mayor, for us to get our eyes a couple times a year and ensure that doesn't happen.
Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Jason. Riley?
Just to add to that, they were actually designed with being topped in mind. And so there is a certain amount of protection that if they do get topped, it won't automatically erode and fail from the backside. They have that GeoWeb structure. I think it's all but one of the dikes. That GeoWeb structure covers the front and the back to help minimize any chance of that happening.
Yeah, and I'm more than confident with the design of those things, having been involved with it since day one and knowing exactly how they're built. But I think it's always good planning to think of a wreck, right? So we got huge confidence in our system. There's no question we are protected well beyond what we had in 2013, but complacency will never exist in this town when it comes to those events. So, all righty. Any other questions? Good to go. Thanks very much, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great document.
Thank you.
Amazing,
Have a great day.
amazing you put it together in about 5 days after my
Right?
request. The way you roll.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you're muted.
Sorry, question and answer period. Councilor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you remind me again why we start these at 12:30? It seems like we've canceled a number of them, and like today we're 12:41 and we're just about done. Would we consider maybe moving it to a 1 o'clock start time and perhaps? I don't know. Just asking.
Yeah, I think it was because just to fit this in and give it a half an hour, not knowing how many questions we have on some of this stuff, but and for the fact that some of the items in our special meeting that we're having at 1 o'clock could be a much longer conversation, so we need that time before our council meeting. That's why today's started at 12:30, just to give
Okay.
this item the appropriate amount of time.
Thank you.
I'm glad it only took 9 minutes though. Councillor McMillan?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. Chris, I was just wondering about the pool process. Like, I've been trying to find in the public health, like where they're talking about pools. Like, I'm just curious about the process. I've just heard some feedback from people that are anxiously waiting to get back into the pool. Like, is it just on a one-on-one basis still?
Yes, it's still on a one-on-one basis still. There are swimming lessons and programming taking place as well on smaller groups. Intensive fitness is still not permitted. And so those types of things are still restricted under the health orders. And that applies for the same for the field house. Youth sports are allowed to take place, but the walking track remains open. So anything intensive fitness perspective in groups is not allowed. And you are allowed to have one-on-one training or households to use the pool, for example, from that perspective. So if you had a one-on-one instructor with a lifeguard to teach swimming lessons to an adult, they're allowed to go and rent that space at $30 an hour.
And is it always per hour that people are renting it then?
That's correct.
And then is there, what's the protocol around, I guess, cleaning the change room? Like, is there a staggered entry time or?
All the protocols in place that we've used for all the locker rooms are still in place. There is a cleaning process and a fogging process to go through, and there's gaps in the schedule to allow that to take place. And all the high touch surfaces are disinfected. All the doorknobs, door handles, benches are all kind of wiped down between user groups.
Okay, thanks.
I got no further questions. So we will adjourn committee of the whole 12:44. See you in 15 minutes.